life has felt pretty unbelievable recently. There was celebrating an engagement, buying a new house, managing a career, friendships. We often feel inclined to only post and share and even talk about the pretty polished end result, posting those perfect photos, sharing those wonderful stories, whether it's the abundance of friends, the picture perfect holidays, events. We often, I feel, live in a society where it's pics or it didn't happen type of mentality, right? And this brings such an easy trap to fall into feeling overwhelmed by pressures and stresses, mostly made up in our minds. So don't compare somebody's glorified Instagram life to your everyday life, to somebody's incredible stories of their travels abroad or their perfect relationship or that surprise date or that romantic fantasy story. Don't compare that to your life. It's up to you to navigate the ebbs and flows with resilience. And like you, I'm choosing to start somewhere to boost my personal power even more. And this is simply through making commitments to yourself, right? So exiting this lazy era, stepping into less stress, and becoming more empowered. So I really want to focus right now the core purpose, how life's highs and lows can be incredibly overwhelming. But by cultivating this thing called resilience and committing to this other thing called personal power is what is really going to help you navigate all of this growth, all of this change with grace. My name is Isabel Rose Prestia. For those of you who are long-time listeners of Start Somewhere the podcast, this is the platform that I created in 2020. And yes, it is 2024. And yes, I haven't posted an episode for over 12 months now. And yes, you're probably wondering, where have you been? What have you been doing? You mentioned this engagement, you mentioned this house, you're talking about navigating change, ebbs and flows, ups and downs, resilience. All of this I'm going to be sharing throughout the next course of episodes. But for now, we are going to focus on this topic of resilience, this topic of personal power, and my 3 key points to help you navigate this, because I truly believe what I am about to share and also what I'm going to share in future episodes is something that can be so relatable in so many different areas of people's lives, okay? So whether you're going through a big life change, a move, moving interstate, changing jobs, navigating a career, a relationship, a breakup, a new relationship, or just life's everyday challenges. So first of all, I want to talk about life's unpredictability. I was told this really beautiful quote, actually by my current boss. And he said, the difference between knowledge and wisdom is experience. Now, the thing is, we can listen to all the podcasts in the world, read the books, repost the quotes. But until you experience these types of things, that is where this really intense yet beautiful understanding of life's unpredictability, resilience, personal power can really come into play. And so start to ask yourself, how can you better handle unexpected change, right? So whether it's balancing a career, relationships, your personal well-being. So how can you handle this unpredictable change? Because what I've learned is that the older you get, another year that you turn, another year that the calendar goes by, life doesn't necessarily get easier. In fact, it somewhat gets harder, But we as people can, right? This is a choice. We can get the option to handle it better by honing in on our resilience and our personal power. And this supports the quote, "The difference between knowledge and wisdom is experience." And I'm sure quite a few people could agree with this way of thinking. I quite literally live my life by the saying and also just the knowing that life is always happening for us. Okay, so when something doesn't go as planned, that's for a reason. When we experience a challenge, when we experience a setback, that is for a reason. It's divine intervention. Rejection is your redirection. And oh boy, I cannot wait to share all of the forced rejections, all of the forced redirections I have encountered since being offline from sharing this podcast. So life's unpredictabilities. How can you better handle unexpected change? Okay, remember, it's going to get thrown at you the further we progress through life. The more days turn into weeks, turn into months. Number 2, the comparison trap, right? This is with that story I shared at the very beginning. The dangers of comparing your reality to others. Okay, so looking at these polished social media lives, I went through quite a season of deactivating, then reactivating, then not posting, then deleting, then disappearing off my social media accounts in the past 12 months. And oh boy, can I not stress enough how much it served me and how much I truly believe offline is the new luxury. Because we do get caught in this trap of comparison, whether you believe it or not, which I know you probably are, quite self-aware, where you probably can catch yourself out when you are in a doom scroll, looking at reels on explore pages, looking at how other people are living their quote unquote best life in Europe, their perfect relationship, the dates, the new house, the career, all the fun, cool stuff that they do. So whether you believe you're doing it or not, and I feel subconsciously it's almost worse, right, is this comparison trap. Thinking that, oh my gosh, that person's reality is 10 times better than mine. What am I doing wrong? What is wrong in my life? What do I need to change? And I am a culprit of this, what I'm about to share, which is constantly planning and fixating on what's next, right? And not fully being, living, and just standing in the moment and actually recognizing, wait a minute, everything in my life right now is what I wanted it to be like about 3 months ago or 6 months ago or a year ago. I can't tell you how many times, if I write anything down in my journal that I want to manifest, it comes to fruition. Everything, every single thing. Sometimes it takes years, sometimes it takes days, sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes it takes an hour, okay? And this is personal power, and I will be talking so much more on this as well in later episodes, but I truly recognize my power to co-create, to manifest, to make all these things happen, to make all these things come true. And that is because I'm always thinking, what's next, right? But everything is polarity. And so this can almost be a somewhat bad thing because we're not truly living, enjoying, and soaking up the moment. Actually reflecting and being like, wait a minute. I wanted to be in this position 4 years ago, a year ago, last week, 2 days ago, and I'm here. But instead of showing gratitude and just soaking it up and quite literally just being in the moment, being in the present, we're instead fixating on what we want next. Just hold that thought for a moment. And the third key point, which I've essentially been saying a lot already, is building resilience. And it's actually very simple to do this, right? It's the importance of daily practices, for boosting your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. So there's this really beautiful quote I actually found in the notes app of my phone. I don't know if I wrote this or if I heard this somewhere, but it's dated the 5th of July this year, 7:29 p.m. And it says, you can't change people, but you can change the people around you. And so no matter what circumstance you're in that you are not particularly loving, okay? A workplace, a relationship, a friendship, or anything else. Okay, you can't change people. It's quite literally impossible to change a person. They have to want to change. However, you can change the people you're around, right? But that's the thing. A lot of us stay stuck in situations, in jobs, in relationships, in friendships, etc., out of convenience, out of fear, out of comfort. But until you actually realize you can change the people around you, you can choose to get up and leave, you can choose to end the friendship, to break up, to change the job, to essentially change the narrative around you. This is what is going to help build resilience. And you can start to cultivate this courage, cultivate this confidence, cultivate this strength to do so, because easier said than done, I know. How many of us, I'm sure you can think of a friend of yours in a relationship and maybe they are not loving it. And you can see the red flags. And you think to yourself, why don't they just leave? Or maybe you know somebody that doesn't have a good friend in their life or boss or any other person. And you're sitting there on the outskirts thinking like, why are they not just getting rid of that person? Easier said than done, right? And so the way we can cultivate this resilience, cultivate this strength to do these things is by committing to daily practices for yourself, right? This is, guys, newsflash, this is how confidence is built. This is how self-confidence is built. Self-confidence is built by doing the things you say you are going to do. It's that simple. It's not groundbreaking. It's not rocket science, that annoying saying. It's none of that stuff. It is incredibly simple. It's waking up in the morning and saying, I am going to read 10 pages of my book. I'm going to go to a gym class. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to get an early night. And then it's completing that day, reflecting, and being like, wow, I did all of those things. Boom, self-confidence. Boom, you feel empowered to keep on going and going. You're building resilience, right? I had this realization last night. Actually, I literally just shared what I like to do. My current routine, I love my routine at the moment. I'm waking up around 6:20 a.m. I meditate straight away for about 10 to 15 to 20 minutes. I make myself an espresso. I read roughly 10 pages of a book, my current book. I'm committing to reading about a book a month at the moment. And then I go for a 2-kilometer run. I do my best to eat quite healthy throughout the day, get an early night. And last night the day was over. It was about 7:30. And I had this moment where I was like, oh, wow, I'm doing all these things I say I want to do. And I was building this really awesome self-confidence in myself. I'm building this really great level of resilience because I'm committing, I'm showing up for myself. And this is how we can build resilience even more. It's starting by committing to daily practices, things that are going to boost your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. So in my case, boosting my mental, physical, and well-being looks like meditating, going for a run, eating healthy, reading a book, right? So damn simple. So start to ask yourself, what sorts of daily practices can you commit to that are going to help boost your mental, physical, and emotional well-being? I hope this episode brought about some light into how you can better handle life's highs and lows. It can be overwhelming. It is overwhelming. There's no point sugarcoating it. But just know by building and cultivating resilience, your personal power, avoiding the comparison trap is what is going to best help you handle life's unpredictability and build that sense of self-confidence and resilience. My name is Isabel Prestia. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe, to share the episode with a dear friend of yours that you know will also find value from it. And you best bet to stay tuned, where I'm going to be sharing so much more on what's been going on. This engagement, this house, this new life change I'm navigating. And I know that this is going to be a very special chapter. And I'm very, very fortunate and grateful that I can pick up my mic and share all of what is going to come with our Start Somewhere listeners.